President Bola Tinubu is set to shake up his cabinet, and of course ministers are reportedly lobbying hard to stay in the president's good books, with some of these people seeking help from President Tinubu's allies and associates for a soft landing. The cabinet shakeup is expected to be based on ministers' performance, with President Tinubu demanding scorecards from all his 45 ministers.
The special advisor to the president on information and strategy, Bayo Onanuga, while addressing pressmen at the State House on Wednesday, noted that there was no timeline to when the president would reshuffle his cabinet, stating that it could be on or before or even after the 1st of October.
Now, joining us is former Presidential Campaign Council spokesperson Umar Sani, who joins us to discuss and x-ray these important issues. Good morning, and thanks for joining us, Mr. Sani.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Quickly, let's talk about the rumor, or rather the statements that the president will reshuffle his cabinet. Generally, right? Would you say that it is time for a reshuffling based on the performance of these 40+ ministers that you've seen in the last 1 year plus?
Well, let me start by saying that to me, I believe that the cabinet is very huge. For about 46 ministers are too huge, for the country to absorb. However, it will have been very difficult to really be able to assess their performance, based on the fact that their responsibilities are shared. A particular ministry has branches where previously it doesn't. For instance, we have the Ministry of Agriculture, and then we now have a new Ministry of Livestock, and so forth. So, and they are supposed to be the same ministry. So if you want to assess them, the person who started as Minister of Agriculture, and then the person now who is taking over livestock, perhaps the other person's major performance was hinged on that livestock. He had done a lot on livestock, and now the ministry is no longer under his control. So how do you now, assess his performance? So, secondly, I think the ministers came a little bit late, and so you can't even say that they have actually stayed that much for government to be able to, really assess them and say, okay, this man is performing and this man is not performing.
They've been there for about a year. Isn't that enough time?
Yes. No, a year is insufficient for somebody to carry out a well-defined program.
So what would you say is a fair enough time for for this review to be carried out for the ministers?
I think they should have been allowed to have served for at least 2 years. That within that period, one can say without any fear of equivocation that they have really either they have underperformed, they have performed, or they have creditably performed beyond expectation. But as it is now, these ministers have also ministers of state, performing almost similar or the same function. So really assessing them will be a very difficult task. And some of them will even try to outshine the other minister and not give him sufficient, opportunity to perform. So that the general public or the Mr. President will be able to know whether they actually performed, to expectation or not. So it's really very, the time frame is too short.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stop him. It doesn't stop the president from reshuffling his cabinet if he is not satisfied that where he's heading to is not where he is going, and that the ministers are not taking him in that direction.
Yeah, right. I mean, since he's decided to do it, before your preferred 2-year time frame, would you expect that these ministers simply just be, with the word reshuffled, or would you expect that they be replaced? I mean, majority of them that the president might see to be non-performing.
Well, the term cabinet reshufflement is generally used, to mean even removal, because it means some people will be, substituted. Some people will be moved from one ministry to the another. Some of them will, be perhaps possibly be demoted from minister to minister of state, and so forth. And so, whatever terminology is used, it is that the issue is some people have to go. Some people have to go because he has already said they should give a scorecard on them. Just like former President Eradua did, who said he set up a monitoring and evaluation committee on the ministers, and the evaluation committee normally submits report on every minister. And so within a time frame, he was able to know the performance of every minister. So if he is doing the same thing and then he has a scorecard for them, then he should be able to know those who will go and those who will not go. And then if those who he will retain and those maybe who will have to stay for political purpose.
All right, and if you agree that some ministers have to go, yes, I recall that you mentioned earlier that 2 years is too short a time or 1 year is too short a time to analyze the performance of these ministers. But I mean, if this reshuffling has to be done, then it has to be done. And like you've said, some people will have to go. Off the top of your head, or from what you've seen so far, are there ministers that you think haven't yet performed? And are there the ones who you think easily stand out for you?
Well, personally, my area of concern is the principle upon which the APC Renewed Hope agenda stands for, which is to improve the economy, to fight insecurity, and to fight corruption. Those areas where we have ministers who are supposed to be doing that are areas that have strong reservations on their performance. For instance, I still wonder how the coastal road from Lagos to Calabar should be able to cost up to 15 trillion naira. That is too exorbitant. So that should be investigated because the corruption element there cannot be quantified. Again, when it comes to insecurity, the two ministers are from the north. Perhaps they have been put there because Badaru and Matole, they have been put there because of the terrorism and banditry in the north. But how far have they been able to cope these twin issues, insecurity issues? And a minister who is supposed to be Minister of Defense also has to understand other areas, not only his own geographical area. There are insecurity in the southeast, there is militancy in the south, and so forth and so on. These are all issues of insecurity. And then you just pack two northerners and then you put them in a particular place. I think that has not addressed the general insecurity in the country. Again, when you look at the economy, the Minister of Finance has been so silent. We have not been seeing some of his reforms coming out to look at the economy critically and to say, okay, perhaps the economy is picking up. Every day the prices of things are soaring and so forth. So you really don't begin to, as a layman, begin to look at it that there is any performance when the lives of the people, have not changed in any way possible. Then, of course, you take a critical look at other areas of corruption. Has corruption abated, or has it, gone higher? These are issues that we have to look at, and look at the ministers who are supposed to handle those areas, and be able to address them squarely.
All right.
Apart from that, I don't think I have any other issue as regards the ministers, because, like I said, it is too early to assess them.
All right. Umar Sani, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll see what steps the president and the presidency will take with regards reshuffling his very, very large cabinet. Thanks for your time this morning. We'll speak with you again.
Thank you.